provide this recording, but this is going to be one of the more valuable, talks of this weekend. So without further ado, Mike O'Donnell.
Thank you, man.
Awesome. Man, I got to tell you guys, it's just unbelievable to be here with you guys. I'm an old school sales guy, not a marketing guy, and to be here with you guys, start that little clock right there, to be here with guys that are also old school, new school, digital school, but guys who are marketing savvy, for me, it's a crazy opportunity. I don't know if you saw me last night talking to a bunch of different guys. I'm just soaking up like a sponge. You ask me how to market, I tell you, go knock on doors, right? That's old school. That's what I know how to do. Since I was a little kid, I've been knocking on doors. Literally, I had a little lawn service. We had a couple guys in the neighborhood. We go cut lawns. We want to do something. And in order to go make the money to go horseback riding, we'd have to cut some lawns, right? I was the worst lawnmower, but I was the guy that would knock on the door and go, hey, can we mow your lawn for $5? And that was, we found this stuff in an alley somewhere, and it was like super clean fluid. And we're like, I bet we could sell this. And literally went door to door selling this cleaning fluid and just turned it into a miracle infomercial about how great this cleaning stuff was that we had no idea, and sold it door to door. So I had these tiny little experiences. Another crazy little experience. My mom got this job. She was the stay-at-home mom. I'm the oldest of 7 kids, and my mom's the stay-at-home mom. My dad's a cop, so there's very little money. She's got this side job. She's calling for the disabled American veterans to see if you'll leave out your items for the thrift store truck that's coming next Wednesday, and would you do that? And, the idea was to get people to say yes and do that. I'm watching my mom do that. I'm thinking, I would like to do that. I'm listening to her do the pitch. I'm like, I want to do a pitch. And I'm like 12 years old, but I dial the phone, and she lets me do it. I do a few of them, and I get a yes. I get another yes. I get another yes. And so I kind of realized I kind of had a little knack for this. That took me to go out to my first job, or it stayed with me as an idea when I went to my first job, which was making pizzas. I didn't know if anybody else had this idea when they were a little kid, but I thought if you had a job, you got paid. I didn't realize you got paid different amounts for different things. That's something that occurs to me a lot these days. People get paid different amounts for doing different things. So I'm making pizzas for a month. I'm working all Friday night, all Saturday night. Somehow they hold your first check. Do they do that anymore? Is that a thing? I had to pay for my aprons. I don't know what happened, but I worked for a solid month, every Friday, every Saturday till 1 in the morning, and they handed me a check. It was for $87. Like, that didn't sound good. $87 for working for a whole month. And that's when I went home. I opened up the newspaper. Back in the day when you needed a job, you get the newspaper out and you look under Help Wanted. And I'm looking under Help Wanted, and I see this kind of job, that kind of job. I knew my buddies. What I wanted was a job in construction, because if their dad was in construction and they got them a summer job, they'd be making $5 an hour, instead of $2.35, $3 an hour. That was the minimum wage. I didn't even know that I wasn't getting paid minimum wage. So minimum wage was $3.35 an hour, is 1980. And I didn't realize, because it was a restaurant and supposedly you might make tips, I only got paid $2.35. And they held a check and all this other blah, blah, blah. So I get that first check and bam, $87. And that's why I'm looking in the want ads and I see telemarketing. And I thought, I used to do that with my mom's DAV thing. I said, I bet I could do that. Called them up, got an appointment, went down there. And I used to literally sit in front of a sign that said Smile and Dial. 80 and I were talking about Smile and Dial, right? Sitting in front of a sign that says Smile and Dial, I was selling tickets to the policeman's dance, right? And I'd be calling up acting like I'm a cop, and Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we can count on your support again this year, can't we? Doing that whole thing. In the industry, if you've ever been in telemarketing, that's called a badge deal, and I stuck with that through college, but I was making $5 an hour plus commission. I could sell a whole night's worth of those things in about a half hour, 45 minutes, and spend the rest of the night talking to girls on the phone. That was my gig. It was 4 nights a week, no Fridays, no Saturdays, not working late, and I'm making 3 or 4 times the money of anybody else that I know whose dad works in construction and can get whatever $5 an hour. And that's when I realized people that do different things get paid different amounts, right? And what it is that we get paid for is a different thing. So I really kind of trying to think. Bill had asked me to come to this thing. I was at D2D with Sam and Bill says, hey, come and speak to the Solar Cheat Code deal. And I'm thinking, what am I going to talk about? And then I read the agenda, and the agenda says how to sell 2 million watts of solar. I thought, well, I guess that's what I'm going to come and talk about. That's what you're going to talk about. I belong to another deal where I get asked to speak a little bit, and now and then I get up and I get in front of a room and I talk. And when you're not sure what to say, and you talk to your mentor and say, hey, I don't know what to say, and here's the answer: show up and tell the truth. Show up and tell the truth. Do you mind if I tell you guys the truth? Yeah. Do you mind if that gets maybe just a little bit personal? Is that okay with you guys? Do you mind if it gets awkward? It might get awkward, all right? So the truth is, here's the truth. The truth is, left to my own devices, I wouldn't be anywhere near 2 million watts of solar in a year. I sold over 2 million, between 2 and 3 million watts of solar last year. I sold between 2 and 3 million watts of solar the year before, like 2.8 million watts. And I sold over 2.5 million watts of solar the year before that, all right? So the question is, how do you do that? Well, first I have to examine, why was I way under 1 megawatt of solar the year before? Because the answers and the key is really in just being one of the guys doing this and not getting to 1 million watts of solar. So why was I one of the guys that were doing this and only making, because obviously I have a gift for this, and I think most of the people in this room probably have a knack, if not a gift, for doing this. The real reason why this pays so much money is almost no one can do it. The people in this room are a very, very small percentage of the population, of the people in the workforce, can even think about doing this. When you explain what we do for a living to most people, they want to go throw up in a trash can, right? This is a high anxiety producing event for them. And I have to be thankful for the fact that when I saw my mom making a pitch, I'm like, I want to do that. So I have a gift in that regard that I want to do that. So, and then when I do it, I'm pretty good at it. So that's, we're all gifted at different things. I'm just lucky that the one thing I'm gifted at pays well. I literally can't do anything else at any level somebody would pay me to do. I burned more pizzas in that month. I literally was probably getting fired. When I left that job, I was probably getting fired. I have ADD so bad that I couldn't put a pizza in the oven and remember to check it in 6 minutes. 4 minutes later, I didn't know there was a pizza in there. Right? So I can't hang a ceiling fan. I can't put up shelves. If I had to make my living doing something else, I'd be in a lot of trouble. But that phone job had led to me getting a phone job setting appointments for solar salesmen back in 1982, 1983. And I was in the phone room just doing my little phone gig. I just knew I could make more money on a phone gig. I'm in a phone gig. It happens to be setting appointments. Our rep's going to be in your area. And here I am going through the Kohl's crisscross directory. Now we have Kohl's other stuff, right? I'm out of the Kohl's cross directory. Hey, our rep's going to be in your area. And I was kind of good at it. I could get a whole night's worth of work done in about 45 minutes, and then I could talk to girls for this on the phone. That was my plan. That was how I did it. But I wandered into the presentation room, into the conference room, and the VP of sales was a guy who I'd seen in another part of the building, and he's got a room full of guys, not quite this full, but maybe 7 or 8 guys, and he's showing them how to sell solar, and he's going them through. And now this isn't solar PV, this is solar water heaters, right? 1982, there is no solar PV. But, I'm kind of intrigued, and I sit down. Maybe this will help me on my phone pitch if I know a little bit about this. I watch him go through this 3-ring binder, and he just explains each page on the 3-ring binder. And then when you say, would you like to go solar? The person says, I want to think about it. And he says, when they say, I want to think about it, you get this tool out of your bag and you walk them through this thing. And at the end of that, they're going to say yes. And I'm like, I want to do that. It was like seeing my mom on that pitch. I want to make a pitch. And I literally took one of those 3-ring binders. I literally went into the phone room and grabbed an appointment for 5 o'clock and drove out to it and met the people, walked them through the binder and said, do you want to do it? And of course they said what? I want to think about it, right? Of course they said that. And I said, oh, wait, when they say I want to think about it, I get this thing out of my bag. First I put everything in the bag like I'm going to leave. The guy said, when they say they want to think about it, act like you're going to leave. It's called the Columbo close. Oh, of course you want to think about it. And you guys are too young to remember the TV show Columbo. But, oh, wait, he's at the door. He buys the alibi. He buys the objection, right? Customer says they need to think about it. What is that? It's an objection. It's an objection. They want you to buy the objection. You want to buy the objection because then it won't be your fault that they didn't buy today. And Columbo would ask him, where were you on the night of the murder? And they would tell him the story, and he would say, oh, that makes sense. He'd put his stuff away. He'd go to the door, and he'd say, one more thing. You said you were at the convenience counter at 10:15 and in the car and you showed, I'm missing about 45 minutes here when you were around the corner from the murder. Can you help me out with this? I'm not very smart. Can you help me out? Where were you for these 45? That's the Columbo clothes. And he taught me you put the stuff in the bag and when they say the one thing, you know what, one more thing. Just one more thing. Let's talk about one more thing. And we'll talk about what that one more thing is. But I pulled that out of my bag and I did it and I said, you know, how does that sound? And they said, it sounds good. I'm like, shit, I didn't bring the paperwork with me. And I called the office, they ran over the paperwork and they brought over 3 sets and I filled out the forms, did the thing, thank you very much, out the door. Call in the phone room and go, I got a sale, you know. And they go, hey, we had another appointment at 7 o'clock. Do you want that one? I go, yeah. Off I go, do the thing, bring it to the pitch book, and of course, how does this look? Do you guys think you guys want to go for solar water heating? What do you think they said? I want to think about it. I go, okay, and I put some stuff in my bag, and I say, you know, one more thing. Just one more thing. And bring out the thing he showed to do, one more thing, da-da-da-da-da. Fair enough? And they said, yeah, that's fair enough. Let's write up the paperwork. Luckily, they brought me out 3 sets of paperwork somehow. So I sign them up for the paperwork, da-da-da-da-da-da. I call the firm, I got 2. And they say, hey, we got a guy that canceled at 7, but he's home at night. You want that appointment? I'm like, heck yeah. I go around, call around the corner, and I knock on I come in, meet them, do the whole thing, show them the pitch book. Guess what they said? So they want to think about it. I said, you know what? I get that. Oh, wait, one more thing. Show them the thing that I do. How's that sound? Sounds good. Boom, write it up. Now I get a phone call from the VP of sales, the guy who was given that class. He goes, who are you again? I'm that kid in the phone room. I sat in the class today. He's like, you gotta be shitting me. And I said, no, I got lucky. I said, by the way, he says, by the way, you're not in the phone room anymore. Come to my office tomorrow. And then I asked him, I got a question. He says, what's the question? I said, how much do I get paid? I wasn't good at asking, how much do I get paid? I just, hey, you got a job, right? You're doing it. Ask questions later. So how much do I get paid? He goes, $500. Now I was making like $150 a week in the phone room. Now working part-time, that wasn't a bad gig. Guy in college, $150 a week. Back in the day, I says, how much are you? $500. I said, $500? Whoa! Big time, $500. That's like a month's work, right? $500. And I said, that's just awesome. I made $500. He goes, no. You get paid $500 for each one. I'm like, what are you talking about? $1,500, that's not even a real amount of money. There's no way that a human could have gone and done something for an evening and be done in time to go partying. I'm 19 years old. And had made $1,500. I mean, that was a mind-blowing, mind-shattering experience. So I did that. I sold 7 in a row. Turns out, I have a knack for this. So not everybody has the same knack, so you can't give somebody a knack. But on the other hand, if you're in this room, you have a knack for this. You have a gift. You've been able to do this. So that was my experience in learning what this paid. Now, I had another experience, and this will just transfer this as a lesson to you guys. I had an idea in my head. I was going to college for computer engineering. The idea in my head was if you were savvy, cool, Mr. Professional, you wore a blue suit and you sold IBM computers. That's why I was taking computer engineering. I was a horrible engineer, right? I was not a math guy and I'm in an engineering curriculum. That's not a good idea, right? I had a bad idea. I thought, this computer, this is 1982, I'm graduating from, this computer thing might be big, I don't know. Maybe everyone will have a supercomputer in their back pocket one day. I don't know, but I think if I should get into this computer thing. So I get into the computer thing, engineer. Turns out I'm a crappy engineer. End up on the sales side. I end up in corporate sales. I have a career in corporate computer, networking, infrastructure, sales for 25 years. And to do that, I had to walk away from this because this didn't sound good to me, right? Doing this, knocking on doors and visiting with people when they were not at work and working on the week, I had this idea in my head that this wasn't a real job, right? At D2Decon, we talk about having a real, your grandma says, what do you do again? What are you doing? You're talking to your dad, and what are you doing? He says, don't you think you should get a real job? And I had this idea in my head of a real job, which was working for IBM, selling IBM computers. I did that for 25 years. And I did really well in that realm. But in that realm, you make between $150,000 and $250,000 a year. And when you bust out of that number, the MBAs figure out how to get you back down into that bracket. That's called a comp plan, right? If you're in the sales world, the very last thing in the world you want is a sales plan. You don't want a comp plan, you want a deal, right? I work for my company, I sell solar, I have a deal. What's the deal? When I sell one, I get this much. When I sell 100, I get 100 times that number. Corporate America MBI is they know how to make sure that 100, if you sell this much and then you sell 100 of them, 100 times that number, that's not your comp plan, right? Then you've reached your quota and 125%, so you're going to get a bonus and you're going to get to go to president. I did that for 25 years. And I escalated through the ranks and I succumbed. This is another lesson, all right? So this is a lesson that I learned, not for you. This was a lesson for me. The other lesson that I learned is everybody wants to get promoted. When you're in a sales career, getting promoted is not a good idea. When you get promoted out of sitting at kitchen tables closing solar and into a job where you're managing and recruiting and doing whatever, you've just accepted a massive cut in pay. All right? Because now you're going to work twice as many hours and make half as much money, and your job is to be herding cats, and all the cats make more money than you. That's not a good idea. All right? So I had to learn that lesson. I spent 25 years getting promoted. I ended up in a job where I'm not just the VP of sales, now I'm the regional VP of the company in this area. And what does that mean? It means I'm a P&L manager. Remember that part where I told you I pretty well suck at everything but selling? Yeah, when you're a P&L manager, you don't sell anybody anything. Your job consists of all the things I suck at. Right? I'm not good at managing $12 an hour employees and wondering why they're sick today. I don't care about this, right? And I'm out selling and I'm doing a good job at selling, but I'm not doing a good job of the 27 other things that I actually get paid for, right? Because I suck at all those things and I tend to avoid things I suck at. I don't know if anybody relates to that. So it wasn't going swimmingly well, but you know, I'm in my $250,000 thing breakout and I meet my partners, the guys who started Sun Solar Solutions. Guy introduces me, I meet those guys. They tell me what they're doing. My guy introduces me because he knows I told him I had sold solar. Didn't you sell solar? Yeah, that was like 1,000,000 years ago. Meet the guys, they're doing the thing. I go out with my one partner who's also in sales, Troy. Watch him do a couple of these, and I'm like, man, I want to try this. I want to try this pitch. Well, I have another job, but I want to try this. So I grab a pitch book. What do? I go make a 3-ring binder, right? I go make a 3-ring binder. I put in all the stuff into, that was how we did PowerPoint presentations back in the day. This gentleman here who's an 8-figure beast is going, yep, 3-ring binder, right? So I put together my 3-ring binder. I go knock on 10 doors. I get 2 appointments. I bring Troy with me. He sells me. He pitches one. I pitch the next. I sell them both. And I'm like, this is amazing. I go do that as a moonlighting job for like a week. And in that week, I sell like 6 or 7 of these things. I do the math. And I'm going to make $250,000. It's August. I'm going to make $250,000 by Christmas. Not $250,000 for the whole year. And there's no 6:30 conference calls, right? I hate my job. Because I have 6:30 conference calls with the guys in Chicago, whatever, 2-3 times a week. These guys it was like a biggest you-know-what contest to who could set up the next earliest conference call. And I'm on the West Coast going, what are you guys doing? So I said, you know what? I quit. I didn't quit my job, I quit my career. I quit a 25-year career in high tech, and I'm a serial entrepreneur as well. I owned a .com company in 98, 99, 2000, raised $40-50 million in venture capital and was about 6 minutes from being a billionaire when the whole thing blew up. But my whole world, my whole identity was high tech, man, was computer, was the whole thing. Problem is, I wasn't making money. I wasn't making any money. And I'd figured out how to not make money very consistently at a very high level. Right? A lot of people who aren't in this room would like freak out if I said making between $150 and $250 a year was not making money. Right? But if you got 3 kids and they're in college and mortgages and bullshit and all that kind of stuff going on, you're making between $150 and $250 at the end of the year. You're lucky if you can get what you're trying to get chunked into your 401k. You're not making money, right? You're just getting paid and you're spending more than you're getting paid. Yeah, you're making debt. Basically, you're making debt. So I was good at making debt. You know, I was carrying whatever I was carrying, 25, 50K in debt. I quit my job, handed in the keys to the company car, and in, I don't know, by Thanksgiving, I didn't have any more debt. I was out of debt. I kept thinking my wife and I were going to sit down and figure out we're going to get this debt gone, and and we got this plan. We're in 2.5 years. I'm going to put, and in 6 weeks the debt's gone. And now I don't know what to do with the next chunk of money, right? So that was my experience. But I also have to tell you that was not what kept happening, because I did that between, say, August and December. I made a ton of money. And then for the next year, 2016, now I get asked to be a partner based on the fact that I look like I'm going to be a superstar and they don't want me to go somewhere. I'm a partner of this company. And from January to December, I don't know, I don't get a megawatt of solar sold, even though if you would have multiplied my performance from when I quit my job and say the end of that year, so in 5 months, if you'd have multiplied that out, I would have been at 1.5 megawatts. Why did I end up at 700 or 800 kilowatts at the end of my first year? I'm obviously good at this. I obviously have a knack for it. You know, obviously I'm getting paid enough per deal. What do you guys think happened? What do you think happened?
You ran out of like your immediate network?
No, I was knocking doors. I'm a door knocker. You never run out of knocking on doors. That's the beautiful thing about knocking on doors. You never run out. There's always another door.
Basics has got you there.
Yeah, what else?
You're spending time doing other things.
Kind of.
Force of average.
Force of average, what does that mean? Is that a high-tech word?
No, you had enough, you were content.
That was it. Bam. I'm like, holy cow. I get up at 10:30, get out of my house by 2:30, knock on doors for half an hour, go on one appointment, I can make 10 grand a week. What the hell? That's a big, big problem in this industry. We get paid way, way, way too much for way, way, way too little time and effort, right? And there's a good reason for that, and that's because almost no one can do this, and so that's why we get paid too much. You know, if you're in a situation and somebody tells you they're going to pay you a nickel more or a dime more, and you think that's a good idea, you know, it has nothing to do with what you get paid per watt. If you're not with a company who can keep you in a situation where you do nothing, because and by the way, I do nothing. As one of the 3 owners of this company, I do nothing. And why? Because I'm not good at anything, right? I do nothing but make appointments and sell. Luckily, the thing I'm good at pays well, right? Everything else that I could possibly consider doing instead of those 2 things pays a lot less. There's high value effort and there's low value effort. The 2 things that I'm talking about that I try to spend on are high value and high paid. I get paid more than a brain surgeon for an hour and a half. More than a brain surgeon for an hour and a half. Why is that? That's because most people can't do that. We can. That's a gift. Why aren't we doing it 3 or 4 times a day? And the question is, why wasn't I doing it? I'm looking for my water. Actually, here it is. Why wasn't I doing it 3 or 4 times a day? I was doing it 3 or 4 times a day when I had to convince myself I could quit my corporate job with 6:30 conference calls. But now when I have a whole year and my debt's paid off and I'm making 10 grand a week or whatever, why am I now not doing that? And it's because, what was that word?
Force of average.
That's my takeaway for the weekend, one of them. A force of average. I was dealing with force of average. I still have no idea what that means. But I think it's a really cool phrase. I'm going to ask you after. Explain to me force of average. I'm a slow learner, but then I'm really good at explaining it 500 times in a row after that, right? That's my job, right? I'm a slow learner, but I'm really good at explaining it to everybody after I learn it. Yeah.
Another term is diminishing intent.
Diminishing intent. That one I understand, right? So I had the intent of being able to quit my corporate job, become an owner in a solar deal, and make more money than I knew what to do with. I literally didn't, when I paid off the debt and then I had another $10,000 check and another, I didn't know what to do with the money, really. I'll be honest with you. I'm like, I guess we should figure, investing and stuff like that. So what do we do with the money? But as soon as I got to the question of what do I do with the money, I experienced diminishing intent, right? And I have to tell you, so one of my partners who made me a partner, an owner in the company, he's like, you kind of talked about staying at this level. It looked like you were going to sell, at least 1 million watts of solar a year. And, you're not there, Mike. What's going on? You're not really performing at that level. What I didn't tell him is because I'd really kind of got used to waking up at 10:30 in the morning, staying in my house in my pajamas till 2:30, 3 o'clock, and getting out in the house to knock on doors for maybe 45 minutes and run the one appointment I had that night every other day or so. Right? I'm literally looking at my calendar going, I literally have nothing to do till Thursday. I was enjoying a bit of a reprieve from the corporate. And so two things happened. One, I had that conversation with Val. Two, we brought on this young superstar named Danny, young Hispanic kid. Guy starts lighting the world on fire, and all of a sudden he's selling, in like weeks, he's selling more than me. I don't know about anybody in this room, but when I see somebody else's name on the top of a leaderboard and it ain't mine, I have a real problem, okay? And that was one of the other problems. I was putting in that effort and selling 40, 50 kilowatts a month, and I'm still at the top of, you know, this crappy board. You know, we just got started. Nobody was doing that more than that. I'm watching this kid, Danny, just light the world on fire. And then two, I'm having this conversation with my partners about the deal and whether or not blah, blah, blah. And then a third thing happened, and this is really, really crucial. I woke up to the presence of what this opportunity really means. We had a deadline. It was a net metering deadline in Phoenix. And I realized that my opportunity to sell solar between say March and the end of April was going to be March and the 1st of July, which was a net metering deadline. They were going to get rid of net metering in Phoenix after that, was dramatically different. I woke up and started to live up to my commitment to myself and my family and my company. And two, I woke up to the opportunity of how much money I could really make and the fact that that was not going to be available forever. And so I got into a completely different gear, right? And it's honestly, it's basically a part-time job compared to that other job where you're doing conference calls at 6:30 in the morning. But it's a completely different level of activity. And what I liken it to an Easter egg hunt. Right, so I like to envision yourselves being asked to go to the Easter egg hunt. And, you know, people are going to be there in this big field, out in this field right here. There's Easter eggs everywhere. You see some of them up in trees, you see some of them under the thing. But, you know, there's just a field full of Easter egg hunts. You know, little kids go to Easter egg hunt. You're like, I'm a grown person, but okay, I'm going to an Easter egg hunt. The bell goes off, and you pick one up, and you open it up, and there's a jelly bean. Of course, that's exactly what you expect. And you open up another one, there's a little chocolate thing, and you open up the third one, and there's $3,000. Like, what? What just happened here? This Easter egg, and you're looking around, and you're like, okay, obviously I just stumbled onto the grand prize. There's a weird grand prize, and I stumbled onto it in the first 2 seconds. I'm not that lucky, but somehow I got lucky. And so you pick up another Easter egg, and there's a jelly bean, and another one, there's a little egg. And the third one you pick up, and there's another $3,000. And you're like, what's happening? What is going on? And you start looking around, and you realize other people are figuring out that every 3 eggs on this field has $3,000. Picture yourself on that field. There's $3,000. And there's a finite number of eggs, but there's a lot of them, right? And you realize, based on this little short experience, maybe every 3 of them have $3,000 in them. Ask yourself this question. What would you look like 2 minutes later? Would you be at Starbucks? Would you need a break? Would you be making plans for the weekend? And that's what happened to me. And I realized, holy effing whatever, every 3 of these has $3,000 in it. And really what happened is I started to act accordingly. I got an appropriate idea of the urgency of the situation, and I started to behave according to the situation that I was in. And that was in April of 2017, I guess it was, and I looked like someone whose ass was on fire between then and July 1st. And I'm like, honey, we're going to Europe after that, right? We're going to Europe, right? We're going to go spend a month in Europe. I don't know what all to do with all this money, but I'm thinking we should just book first-class tickets to Europe and go spend a month in Italy. That's what we're going to do. And this is planned. We booked it. July 1st is this deadline. I look like someone's ass is on fire. I got appointments at 6 in the morning, and I got appointments at 10 o'clock at night. And when I'm at your door, you can't tell me no, because that makes you an idiot. Do you understand what's going on right now? If you're not having me over later today or tomorrow, that makes you an idiot. Do you understand what's going on? Here's what's happening. Net metering's going away. The government's going to pay for a third of this thing up front. Literally, it makes you an idiot if you're not having me over to show you this. I'm coming, all right? I'm coming over to show you this thing. Set the appointment at 6 in the morning, 10 o'clock at night. I burst through this door of July 1st, honey, we're going to Europe, and there's a big headline, APS extends deadline to September 1st. Have you ever experienced mixed emotions? Right? When you're at the end of a 24-mile sprint, not a marathon, but a 24-mile sprint, you crash through the gate and the crowd's there and you're the guy they got to pick up off the ground. And then they go, guess what? They're going to let us run another 24 miles. Like, oh man, you got to be kidding me. I took a weekend off and slept and got up on Monday morning and reawakened to the amount of urgency that was required to deal with the opportunity. And I just, bam, kicked into that gear. Not only that gear, that was fourth gear, man. I found a fifth gear and a sixth gear, and I'm redlining this bitch until September 1, man. And I crashed through this gate, and it's, bam, add it all up, and I'm somewhere between $2 and $2.5 million worth of 2 and 2.5 million watts of solar. And I never counted it till it was over. So if you would have asked me how do you sell over 2 million watts, I would have said, I don't have any idea. I'm just dealing with what's going on right now, right? The Easter egg hunt. I'm gonna look like this till the gun goes off and the Easter egg hunt's over. There's no more Easter egg hunts. There's no more Easter eggs on this field. No, I still haven't been to Italy, man. I still haven't been to Italy because you know what it did? All that stuff was in my head. This deadline, that tax credit, it had nothing to do with anything but how I perceive the situation. The situation has only gotten better and better because now people know they're supposed to have solar. Before then, I was like, they were like, isn't solar, I don't know, I heard that's not such a good idea. Now people know, there's 5 of them on their street, they're like, it must be a good idea, right? But what changed for me was the understanding of the opportunity. And all of a sudden it made sense that I was working 6 or 7 days a week. It made sense that I was working I wasn't sleeping till 10:30 in the morning, None of that would have made any sense. If that Easter egg hunt was going on out there and you were taking a nap, you'd be like, what the hell, am I doing? So anyway, that was, profound thing. And anybody can run a sprint, right? Anybody could get a 1-year thing where you figure that out and you come out of their Easter egg hunt and you did well gathering Easter eggs. But I go to D2D for the first time. I'm a Spotio customer. By the way, I'm not a Spotio customer anymore. I'm now a Sales Rabbit customer.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I just bought my first 10 licenses of Sales Rabbit. But I go to D2D because Spotio says, hey, here's a free ticket to D2D-Con. I'm like, D2D-Con? And I look at the marketing material, and some genius put it together, made it look like it'd been going on for decades. I didn't know it was the first one. I didn't know that till after the second one. I swear to God, I did it. But I'm like, D2D, all my partners are going to solar conferences where they're talking about solar panels. I'm like, that doesn't sound good. I don't want to hear about how solar panels are made. If you want to see I don't know how a solar panel works, and I don't know how to sell a solar panel. I've never sold a solar panel in my life, all right? And I get really annoyed when I come up with a customer who knows all about solar panels and got 40 questions for me. I go, dude, I don't know anything about solar panels. But let me get someone on the phone who does, and I get my partner Val, the engineer. This guy loves to talk about solar panels, so they're going to those conferences. I go, D2D-Con, I go, that sounds good. I'm going to go to that. Show up at the thing, blah, 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 get a t-shirt, blah, blah, blah. Sam's up the thing, and he says, anyone in the room who sold over 1 million watts of solar, raise your hand. And I'm like, I sold over it. Everybody come out, and there's 7 or 8 guys, and they're writing their names down.
I had everybody like sold out, and then this old dude in the middle of the crowd was like, you forgot me.
Oh, hey!
I'm like, no, I'm like, no, you didn't know doors and dink. This old dude.
So Sam says, how many kilowatts you sell? I said, 2.5 million watts. He goes, no, not the company. I know you're a part owner of a company. That's great. Good for you. 2.5 megawatt company. Good. No. How much did you sell? I'm like, no, the company did 15 megawatts. I was, a minor piece of that, 2.5 million. I don't have any idea. I don't even know a megawatt's a thing.
I did this when he walked, so I was like, I'm trying to do the math of millions of watts.
Yeah.
Stop talking in watts.
Yeah, I sold 2,500 kilowatts. I don't know. I'm thinking that's over a million, 2,500. Anyway, so I don't even know a megawatt's a thing. It's not a thing. In my mind, I haven't been to this, so I don't have any idea. And he says, wow, okay. So he writes it down, and he's like, I don't have an award for that. But I come up onto the stage. I come up onto the stage and he calls my friend, and he calls my name and he goes, we didn't know what to do. We didn't, so here you go. Here's 2. I'm like, hey, I got 2. And all I know, if 1 is good, 2's got to be better. So I get 2. And honestly, I don't give that a lot of thought when I get back. But what I do give a lot of thought to is, man, the amount of money I just made is really weird. Okay? And the other thought is, how do I make that weird amount of money again? Okay, how do I make that weird amount of money again? And then that's what's on my mind. I end up having an all-night weird conversation with some Bitcoin guy who's making, I don't know, just weird conversation. But I woke up in the morning and I knew that what I needed to do was build a D2D team, right? I needed to teach people to do what I was doing on setting appointments so that I could be in appointments literally morning, noon, and night the whole time. Because you can't work at that level. I couldn't kill myself every day. I can't knock on doors for 12 hours and be in meetings for 12 hours. So I get this idea. I go and I talk this guy into it. He's not a sales guy, but I talk him into. We build this team, and we're also we hear there's a net metering deadline in Tucson. Net metering now. I'm like, net metering deadlines, man. That's really the secret. The secret key is net metering deadlines. So we moved to Tucson. Right, I live in Phoenix, 2 hours away. We rent a house, move to Tucson, set up shop, hiring guys to knock on doors, and off we go. And this is just my team. It's my 1099. I'm one of the owners of Sun Solar, but my sales, my 1099, I'm hiring guys to knock on doors, and I'm showing how to knock on doors. We're all knocking on doors together, going to appointments, knocking on doors, going to appointments, knocking on doors. This was, Tucson's net metering deadline was supposed to be February 15th, and they moved it to March 1st. Same thing. Then they moved it to April 1st. Then they moved it to May 15th. Then they moved it to July 1st. This was the gift that kept on giving, right? And you just keep moving this deadline out, and we're like, let's go, keep going. Right now, and now I'm betting they're going to extend it. Now, instead of being tired, I'm like, this deadline's going to get extended. Let's go, 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 go. And it ends up going through October 1st. Crashed through the end of that deadline, added up, I'm at 2,800,000 watts of solar. And I pretty much, I'm not quite at 2.8, but I crashed through that deadline on October 1st, and I go back to Phoenix and I start selling bigger systems or whatever through the end of the year. And I just sort of coasted into the end of the year and added up as 2.8. So now I'm thinking, hey, I think that means I get 2 of these again. I show up, Sam, come up on the stage, 2 of them again, that's cool. Come back to Phoenix, now there's no more net metering later. Now I have a problem, right? Because now I have a bar, right? 2 things that happen. My partner and I, who are very competitive, I got a partner who's an engineer, runs the office, and I got another partner, we're out selling. We're always neck and neck on kilowatts and deals. He usually has more deals, and I usually have more kilowatts. I knock on bigger homes, and he deals with more other stuff that more randomizes the size of the system. I'm more targeted on bigger houses. But he and I are always neck and neck, and he says, O'Donnell, this is at the Christmas party, not this one, but the year before, he says, O'Donnell, you and I are going to have a bet. A bet. Now, I'm not a gambling guy, but I am a poker guy, right? When you gamble, you're taking chance with odds. When you're a poker player, you're trying to see the odds and get on the side that you know is going to win, right? That's the idea of poker. You get to just sit and sit and sit. And when you see a situation where you know you're 80% to win, you're like, I think I want to be all in. Boom, right? So he says, I want to be, we were going to have a bet. He says, it doesn't have to be for any money. It could be for $1. I said, dude, it can't be for $1. It's got to hurt when you at least go into your pocket and hand it. It's got to at least be like $100. And he says, all right, yeah, $100. No. He goes, what do you want, O'Donnell? And I'm a poker player. I said, what do I want that I wouldn't pay for? Now, I just have this value for money. I'm never going to buy a $10,000 lottery ticket. What do I want? I want to play in the World Series of Poker and be on ESPN. That's what I want. I want to be in the World Series of Poker at the main event and be on ESPN, but you got to pay $10,000 to do that. I don't care how much money I have. I'm not giving anybody $10,000 of it, for a lottery ticket, because it's 8,000 to 1 that you're going to win. But if you win, you win $8 million. So I want to be in it. I said, he goes, that's it, O'Donnell. He plays a little poker. He says, that's it. That's our bet. Now the poker player part of me says, now it's got to be self-gen, because he takes all the marketing leads. So I start poker playing. And it's got to be self-gen. It's got to. Anyway, we set the terms of the deal, but now this thing is, I do not have a net metering deadline. We have these other deadlines. Now we're dealing with the tax credit deadlines. We are manufacturing deadlines now. If you want to talk to me, you're going to talk to me about what our next deadline is and why it's imperative that we move forward with solar today, right? It's just a lesson. It's not a circumstance. It's it's a construction, right? We have to construct why it doesn't make any sense for them not to move forward with solar today. But now I have it in my head that I'm going to do this. Now I got to win this bet, right? I don't have a deadline. I got to bet. That's even, you want to see me motivated, right? And then the second thing is it occurs to me that I'm going to D2D next year, and I had just spoke that year and talked about blah, 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 and I'm picturing being at the thing, and I got to figure out a way to get up there and have 2 of these awards. Somehow I got to do that. I work my ass off. We make the most we can make out of the fact that the buyback rate's going to drop from 11.5 cents to 10.5 cents, and that's a big deal, but it's harder than gone, you missed it, it's over, right? Make the most as we can of the tax credits going from 30 to 26. Do all that, burst through the October 1st, our season, our deadline season, and I'm at 1.5 megawatts. Those 2 megawatts of solar sold happened without me adding them up, right? Worked my ass off, burst through the thing, added them up, I'm only at 1.5. I'm 500 kilowatts away from getting to that thing, and I'm behind Troy. I'm going to lose the bet and not make my goal. And I got to tell you, that was, and I'm at October 1st, that's my time to coast. October 1st to the end of the year, that's when I've been coasting the last. I have it in my head, I'm going to get to coast. So that's what's in my head, and now I know. So now I start thinking, I'm really building a team now. There's more things. Maybe I'm not going to be a 2 megawatt guy. You know what? I don't care if I play in the World Series. That's what's going on in my mind when my alarm's going off. And I did. So I'll tell that story in a couple of minutes. But how did I? So you asked me to tell you how did I sell to me. So how I actually did this is a couple different things. One, I realized that I had to fix my brain. If left to my own devices, I'd be getting up at 10:30, out of my house by 2:30. I'd knock on doors for 45 minutes, and it's a good thing my closing ratio is like 80%. So I can actually make 10 grand a week or month or whatever we're living that schedule. But I'm not going to make a goal. No one's ever going to ask me, how did you do that? All right, so first thing I had to do was fix my brain. My brain thought getting my bills paid and chunking some money in my 401k was a good thing. I wasted a 25-year career not realizing that I wasn't making money because I was reaching my goal. My goal was effed up. All right, one of the problems I had when I busted through the kind of money I thought I needed to make is I didn't know what to do. My brain was like, you should sleep until 10:30. That's what you should do. You're getting paid 10 grand a week, sleep until 10:30. But now I had this other idea in my head, and how do I do that? So the first thing I got to do is fix my brain. And luckily, I came to D2D that second year, and Jeremy from Traeger, what's Jeremy's last name? Jeremy Andrus is speaking about being the CEO of Traeger, talked about owning Skull Candy, doing his whole thing. Awesome story, really just great to be in a room with somebody like that. Sold a company for hundreds of millions of dollars and bought another company, and now that company has got to be coming up on $1 billion, I would guess, something like that. But he just mentioned as an aside that he was having trouble with his thinking, and when he said, you know what? Thank God I found this book called Mini Habits by Stephen Guise. The guy who talks about one push-up. And I just wrote that down in my D2D notebook. Mini Habits, Stephen Guise, one push-up. That was my takeaway, right? Stephen Guise. So this is after the first D2D, I got 2, I'm looking at the thing, and I'm like, I got to fix my thinking. I got to fix my brain. I start reading Mini Habits. Part of Mini Habits is you read 3 pages a day. Don't read the whole book, you read 3 pages a day. And it says you got to get some other things going. So I start this mini habit. I'm going to read 3 pages a day of Mini Habits, and I'm going to read 3 pages a day of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill. Been on my shelf a lifetime. I've read 60% of it. I've read 60% of every sales book in the world. I've read 60% of it and implemented about 0.005% of every single one of them. And somehow that's gotten me to a point where I'm okay at sales, all right? But I decided I'm going to read 3 pages a day of Think and Grow Rich. I get up in the morning, I go to the coffee pot, I got this mini habit, read 3 pages a day. I get through the entire book of Think and Grow Rich and become a Napoleon Hill, proselytizer, right? And to this day, I read 3 pages a day of Napoleon Hill. But what he said to do was to write out your goals. I've sat in 300 goddamn meetings where they told me to write out my goals. And for those of you who aren't as smart as me, I suggest you write down your goals I don't need to do stupid little fundamental juvenile things like write out. I don't need to do that, right? Because I'm smarter than that. I'm more talented than that. I'm gifted. I don't need to do that. But for whatever reason, because I'm doing these mini habits, I decide, I'm going to do what Napoleon Hill says. I write out my goals. And Marcia and I are going to get up every morning and we're going to start this little mantra, read it out loud. He says, write them down, say them out loud twice a day. What are we doing? We're reprogramming our brain. We're getting ideas that are bad. I got a lot of bad ideas, right? So I think 250K is a good number. Now I'm making 500 and I'm like, I better sleep until 10:30. That's my thinking. All right? So I'm going to take that idea in my head and instead I'm going to have an idea that I'm going to be worth this much money in the next year and a half. I'm going to be worth this much money, this many millions of dollars in a year and a half. I'm going to build a team. My personal volume is going to be this. I'm going to be at 2 megawatts. My team's going to be at 5 megawatts. My company is going to be at 15 megawatts. And every day I'm reading that and then how I'm going to do it and then why I'm going to do it. Why? Because, at our last sales summit, Sam says, have a vision. What do you want? I go, I don't know. When my partner said, what do you want? I go, I don't know. I don't want anything. So now I want to be on a yacht that I own in the Mediterranean for months at a time, going to Venice and Madrid. Is Madrid on the Mediterranean? I don't know. So I want to go to all these places in a yacht that I own. And I'm saying it every morning, but something weird starts happening. I start believing it. And here's the other weird thing. Our brain is a massive supercomputer and has nothing to do all day long but think of shit to worry about. I am really good at worrying about shit, and I have a lot of shit to worry about when I'm not really doing anything. Because I'm ignoring problems and I'm not making enough money to fix problems. I have enough money now, I can just fix problems. I don't have to worry about a lot of things. Not to say that I don't. But now my brain, instead of worrying is trying to think, how am I going to get this many appointments a week? How am I going to be in this many closes a week? You got to do the math. So number one, fix your brain. I don't care who you read. I recommend Napoleon Hill. You got to get a different idea in your head. The reason most of your friends are very successful but look like they're not is because they have shitty goals. They're trying to make 80K a year, and they're very successful at that. And maybe successful guys are trying to make $250,000 a year, and they're very good at that. If you're not thinking about a different thing, like I'm trying to be the kind of person who does own a jet or does own a yacht, or does produce generational wealth, are you going to be the person that you know? Are you going to be the person in your circle? Are you going to be the person in your family that creates generational wealth? Are there going to be kids going to college 2 generations from now based on money that you set aside? Are you going to be one of those people? You're not going to be one of those people sleeping to 10:30 and not getting out of your pajamas till 2:30 and knocking on doors for 45 minutes or whatever you do. You're not going to be that guy. You have to think differently. If you think differently, you'll start behaving differently, which brings me to you have to fix your behavior. Even when I know what I want, why is it that I don't want to do it? Why am I in front of a house right now? I just walked out of a house with a 10 kilowatt contract. I just made thousands of dollars personally. I just created $30,000 in revenue. And there's a guy washing his car. There he is. He's the next door neighbor. He knows these guys. And what do I want to do right now? Do I want to talk to that guy? I don't want to talk to that guy. Do I talk to that guy? No, I don't. I don't talk to that guy. 9 times out of 10, I don't talk to that guy. Why is my behavior not matching what my brain knows to be true? What is the issue with that? And why can I come to this and get fired up, come to D2DCon, come to the Solar Cheat Code Live? Why can I go to Tony Robbins? Why can I do that and then be fired up and do things I know I need to do for about 9 days, and on the 10th day, there's the guy washing his car. I don't want to talk to him, and I don't. So talking about get real, get awkward, I don't talk to that guy lots and lots of times. Why is that? What is it inside us that sees that guy washing his car? You get a 10 kilowatt contract from the door you just left. They have barbecues together. I don't want the rejection. Guys, the reason no one can do this job but us is because humans are programmed at a DNL level to avoid rejection. There is something in our brain that perceives rejection as an anathema. It perceives rejection as a tragedy. And I'm going to tell you guys, The worst guys in the world at this are the guys in this room. Closers are awesome at getting a yes. It's what makes us good. We're in the room, we're at the table, we ain't fucking leaving without a yes. That's what makes us good. We suck at getting no's. We're the worst at getting no's. We deal with rejection worse than anybody else in the world, and that's what makes us great closers. But it's what makes us awful, awful prospectors. Thank God we're gifted, because we can knock on doors or do whatever we do, phone calls, returning calls for leads. We can do that for 45 minutes a day, and we're so damn gifted, we can get away with that, right? But no one's ever going to ask you how you did it, right? And if you're not trying to create generational wealth and looking at that every day and reviewing my behavior, it's not going to happen. So that's where the mini habits kicks in. How do you get your behavior to match your goals? How do you hold yourself accountable? Two things. One, mini habits. All right? Mini habits are this. And I'm going to check. Who here in this room would like to make an extra $100,000 this year in the next 12 months? I'm going to hold you to this. Do you ever go on sales appointments? You're responsible for tens of thousands of appointments happening in solar. Do you ever go on any of them?
Yes.
All right. If you'll commit to this, you'll make an extra $100,000 this year. I know you make big money, maybe 100 grand doesn't really mean that much. Would you like to have an extra 100,000?
100 grand means a lot.
100,000. All right. Here's it. This is just a gift. I'm going to give it to you, and I'm saying it so that I will do it. Because I say this all the time, and I don't do it all the time, right? I'm talking about get awkward, right? I tell people to do this all the time, and every time I don't want to do this. The difference between don't do it and doing it is this. Have a commitment and a mini habit that when I walk out of a house for any reason in any neighborhood, particularly if it's a sale, but particularly if it was a presentation, I walk out of that room and I don't go to my truck. I don't go to my truck. That's my mini habit. I'm not allowed in my truck. The truck with the Go Solar, I'm not allowed in my truck. I have to walk down that driveway and up another driveway. Hi there, Mike O'Donnell, Sun Solar. I only have a minute. I noticed you were home. I just left your neighbors. We're doing their solar. And I only have a minute, but I'm here just to drop off a card. I wanted to give you a card. I just wanted to meet you. Thanks for coming to the door. I appreciate that. Have you guys heard what's going on with APS? Have you heard what's going on with the utility? Yeah, they're coming in with this thing. They're going to da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I don't have any time right now, but what I wanted to do is have my engineer look at your roof. A lot of homes aren't good for solar. A lot of people don't qualify for solar. What I wanted to do is have my engineer look at your roof and find out if this place is any good for solar. If it's any good for solar, I'm going to have him do some math. I'm going to have him draw out your house with panels on it. Have you ever been curious which side of your house the panels will go on? Your neighbors are over there. Do you know where the solar panels will go in your home? No? I don't either. I'm not an engineer. I suck at everything. Sales and appointments. But my engineer is really good at this. He's going to look at your roof. He's going to figure out where the panels go. Then he's going to do the math. You're paying about, $3 grand a year with APS. What is that up to in 10 years? How much is that? How much are you going to pay APS in 10 years if you're paying $3 grand a year? 30. You're going to pay. You're signed up on this program with APS, $30,000, and you have to, right? They're a monopoly, right? You don't have a choice. In fact, you move in and you just get handed an APS meter. You didn't even ask for one, right? They're a monopoly. They get your business. I'm in the power business as well. It's solar. However, I'm not a monopoly, and they force me to come out and say, it's my job. I got to come out, meet you. I got to say hello, give you my card. We got to try and earn your business. But my question is, we just wanted to know if you wanted an alternate quote for that $30,000 worth of power. Would you like an estimate for that same amount of power? Of course, it'd be a lot different because right now you're renting your equipment from APS, right? Now, have you ever rented a house? Have you rented a house before? Did you rent before you own? You own this place?
Yes.
Need to know that, right? You own this place? Have you ever rented a house?
Sure.
How much did you get when you rented the house for, say, a couple of years, and now you're leaving the house? How much of your money did you get back?
Let me think. None.
None? That's right, because renting, that's what happens, right? And after you rented for so many years, was the rent the same? Say you rented a place for 10 years and you started out at $1,000 a month. At the end of 10 years, would you be probably getting the same rent? Would they lower the price because you were a good customer?
No.
No. What would they do? The rent would go up, right? And that's what happens to renters. You guys currently are renting your power equipment. you're paying 16 cents now, but what we know is that power equipment's going to double, right? Their rent for their equipment will double in 15 to 20 years. We know this. It happened in the last 15 years and the one before that, right? We know this is going to happen. We're going to come and we're just going to do the math. We're going to show you. Normally when you buy a house, you pay a little, do you pay more or less? I'm trying to do Sam's Inception shovel here. Do you pay more or less to own versus rent? A house.
A little less.
Usually it's a little more, right? So if you're renting for $1,000, if you're going to buy the house, it'd be a little more, maybe $1,200 a month, right? Here's the thing. Solar's kind of like that, but different. Instead of it costing more, it actually costs less. But the good thing is, like owning a house, instead of it doubling in 15 years, right? Because you're here at 16 cents. In 15 years, and you're paying $3,000 a year, in 15 years, you're going to be at $6,000 a year. You got signed up for an uncapped, absolutely no idea what it's going to go to. Over the next 15 years, we know statistically it's going to double, right? That's, of course, if we don't get a Green New Deal, right? Have you read the details of the Green New Deal?
No.
Do you know how they plan to get you to stop? What's their idea, do you think, to get you to stop using power by 2030, carbon-based power? What do you think their idea would be?
Solar?
No. They hope you go solar, but their idea is to get you to stop doing what you do now. How are they going to get you to stop doing what you're doing now? Make it expensive. They're going to treat it just the way they treat cigarettes. How do they get you to stop smoking? Do we stop smoking cigarettes because of that little label on the side that says smoking is stupid? Do we do that? Why do we quit smoking cigarettes? $10 a pack. $10 a pack. Go to the counter, to a pack of cigarettes, here's $10, right? They're going to do that with power. If that doesn't happen with power, it's only going to double in the next 15 years. Right? If we're just dealing with inflation, the price of this doubles every 15 years. If we get a Green New Deal, all bets are off. All bets are off. Their idea is instead of it doubling, and by the way, I have people who have met with it who are APS customers, they know the numbers. I always thought, why doesn't the utility come in behind us and say, what the hell are you talking about? It's going to double in 15 years. If you were my customer and some guy came and talked you into canceling canceling my service because I told you it was going to double in 15 years and I was lying, wouldn't you come back and say, these guys are crazy. It's not going to double in 15 years. That's a lie. Solar's a scam. Why doesn't the utility come back and say, no, it's not going to double in 15 years? Well, I asked a customer of mine who worked for APS, I said, why haven't you ever come back? Why didn't you challenge me on these numbers? And he says, well, your numbers are way off. Your numbers are way wrong. I know the numbers. I go to conferences like this where we learn the numbers. The numbers are wrong. I go, really, why are the numbers wrong? The numbers are wrong because the grid is 100 years old and it's decrepit. The grid is 100 years old and it's decrepit. It has no security. It's vulnerable. It's one of our biggest vulnerabilities from a national defense standpoint is that some idiot in North Korea could take our grid down, right? So the grid is decrepit. Also, our plan is to get away from digging coal out of the ground and lighting it on fire to cool your home. Instead, we're gonna do fracking and get natural gas out of the ground and light it on fire to keep your home cool. And we gotta get rid of all these coal plants and we gotta go to natural gas plants. That's going to cost money. We think your numbers are wrong. It's not going to double in the next 15 years. It's going to at least triple without a Green New Deal. Green New Deal, I don't even know what that. He's not worried about Green New Deal. He's worried about grid infrastructure, security, replace technology, the whole thing. There's a cost to doing business, and everyone's like a frog in a pot, and the water just keeps getting hotter and hotter. They're signed up for a deal. What are you going to be paying for this in 10 years? You're renting a house. What will the rent be in 10 years? The answer is you have no clue, right? I talked to a guy who moved from Colorado to Arizona because of weed. Like, what are you talking about? You moved away from the weed? He said, no, the weed made the economy so good that I was renting a home and I went from paying $1,200 to rent a place to it costing $2,600 to rent a place, and I had to move to Arizona. That's called uncertainty. You are signed up for a deal that is completely uncertain. So what I'm going to do, Mr. Customer, we're going to have my engineer do some math, and then I will come back and share that math with you. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Sounds great?
Yes.
Do you need to talk to your wife?
No. I'll make comments.
I love it. I got him going. Do you need to talk to your, do you need to think about it or talk to your wife?
Well, now that
For the appointment,
yes.
now that I mention it? You know what? I insist. You have to talk to your wife. In fact, I can't stay. I have to go. But when I come back, I'm going to need her here, right? Our company just requires that we have both homeowners, both property owners be there at things. So I'm going to need you to talk to your wife. I tell you what, I'll make you a deal. You talk to your wife. I am going to go talk to the engineer. If this house is awesome, if it's not awesome, we just won't do it. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste your time. But if your house is awesome, then I'm going to have them put together the design, show you where the solar panels are, do the math, and show you. I'm not going to come back if you're not worth more than $50,000 to $100,000 more because you switched to solar. Would you like to have an extra $50,000 to $100,000 in your retirement when you retire?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm not coming back unless I can do that for you. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So I'm going to make you a deal. You talk to your wife. I'll talk to the engineer. I'm going to come back with some math, some pictures. I'm going to just show you. I'm going to leave it with you guys so you have lots of time to think about it.
I'm going to bring that 3-ring binder back.
Nah, I'm just going to bring you a little free estimate here. I'm not going to bother you with a 3-ring binder. I'm going to leave this here so you can think about it. I'm selling you think about it, right? Not at the next meeting, but this meeting. We're going to talk about thinking about it. And I tell you what, you talk to her, I'll talk to the engineer, and just for that, we're going to buy her, you and me, we're going to buy her dinner. Right? If you were the decision maker and didn't need to talk to your wife, we'd be buying you dinner, right? But you need to talk to your wife to commission an estimate. I get that. I understand that. Now, if you were the decision maker, I'd be talking about Outback Steakhouse, right? But I'm going to make you a deal. We're going to buy her dinner. Does she like Olive Garden or Cheesecake Factory better?
Olive Garden.
Olive Garden? All right. So I'm going to come back. We're going to buy her dinner. She's going to get a $50 gift card for being at Olive Garden. We'll come back. I'm going to show you this stuff. You have plenty of time to think about it. Is this making sense to you? Let's go look at your meter. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to knock on your door. I'm going to sell you think about it. And I'm going to tell you something. If anyone in this room is thinking somebody else is going solar to save $50 a month, if that's their goal, don't go talk to them. We're not selling $50 a month to go solar or $100 a month. I don't know about you, but I don't even have time for a meeting that saves me $50 a month. Right? I don't have, why, the kind of money I make, would I have a meeting so that I could save $50 a month? Do not go solar to save $50 a month. Tell your customers. That's what my Facebook video says. Don't go solar to save $50 a month. That's a stupid reason to go solar, right? Now, there's a lot of good reasons to go solar. If you care about the planet, awesome, massive, just epic impact to the environment. Awesome reason to go solar. If you actually care about money, what are you going to do with $50 a month? Go to Applebee's one more time a month? What the hell, right? That's not a reason to go solar. The reason to go solar is because our customers, and we have 6,000 of them, each of them have now implemented a strategy. It's an ownership strategy instead of the current rental strategy, which is uncertain. We know double. We pray to God it doesn't quadruple because that's a catastrophe of epic. You're just making your bet with the utility company that they're not going to quadruple their prices in 15 or 20 years. That's a disaster. All right? The reason to go solar is because we're going to implement a strategy that's going to make you $50,000 to $100,000 richer. That's the math that I'm going to come back and show you. You're going to have $40,000 or $50,000 in cash flow difference over 20, 25 years. And you're going to have paid for this piece of equipment that you now own and have title to. What is this piece of equipment? It's capital equipment. Who knows what capital equipment is? It's what a business buys so they can make money. If you were in the carpet cleaning business and you bought a carpet cleaner, you wouldn't look at a $15,000 carpet cleaner as a cost, as an expense. You would consider it capital equipment because you're going to employ it and put it to work and it's going to generate money. If you buy a solar system, we're going to get you off of this program that's going up every few years, is uncertain, and is potentially a fucking disaster. And we're going to change you onto a strategy where you're fixed. Oh, wait, it's not fixed at the level you're at. It's fixed at a lower level. How much lower? How much am I saving? I don't know. I don't care. Did I save you $10, $50, $100 a month? Is that even a reason to have a meeting? I'm not trying to save you $50. I'm trying to get you fixed at a lower level and have that price never go up, ever. Oh, wait, just like your home, what happens when you make a monthly payment to your balance of your mortgage, when you make a monthly payment? Does it go down? and every time you make another one, it goes down again? What do they call that difference between what the house is worth and what you owe? That's called equity. When you buy a house for $300 and it goes to $500, what do they call that word? Appreciation. This power in Phoenix is worth 16.5 cents a kilowatt today. What's it going to be worth in 15 years? Half of what it is in California right now. 30 cents. It's going to be worth 30, 32 cents in 15 years. Capital piece of equipment that produces a commodity, and that commodity is worth this much today and this much tomorrow. You're buying something that appreciates. You're buying a generator that generates a product that's going to get more and more and more valuable over time, which is great because when you move, and by the way, you're moving. They're getting you out of here, all right? You're either leaving in a moving truck or a hearse, but you're moving. So let's not talk about what if I move someday. You're moving. Let's just decide you're moving. When you move, you or your estate is going to be selling this house. Would you rather sell this house with this uncapped program that's going up all the time that has no appreciation, no equity, it's a pure expense, is a massive gamble? Would you rather be selling a house that had that program? Or would you rather sell this house in 10 years after you just invested that $30,000 into the home? Oh wait, the government put another $10,000 in it. Now you put 30 of your money, 10 of the government's money, and how much do you have left? All right, the difference would be the amount, the difference between that number and that number is called equity. All right, if anyone told you, I don't want to go solar because I'm going to end up going in debt. I don't want to be $37,000 in debt. Has anybody heard that before? Guess what? They're wrong. When you get a mortgage, if you were looking at a $300,000 home and you needed to only acquire that house with only a $200,000 mortgage because weirdly, somehow, the government put in the first third of the money, why would they do that? Maybe they're motivating me to buy this house. I don't know. What's going on here? Why are they giving me money and making the first third of the thing paid off? Why am I walking into a $200,000 mortgage when the house cost $300,000 and I didn't give the other 100? So let's just say at the end of all my assets and liabilities, I was already worth $500,000. I had that money in the bank and whatever. I had some gold coins. I was worth $500,000. And then I bought a home worth $300,000, but I only had a $200,000 mortgage on it. Have I acquired debt? Is my net worth higher or lower? I'm now worth, as a human, to a banker, $100,000 more than before the transaction started. Have I acquired debt? No. I've used other people's money to finance a capital property that's experienced instant appreciation, and I'm walking into $100,000 worth of equity. This whole game is about how much money are you worth when the gun goes off. Everybody's going to work for 30 or 40 years and then go on retirement. Hopefully they've been putting money away, but at the end of the day, their lifestyle is going to depend on what that number says. It's the bottom line. How much are they worth? What's their net worth? All right? If they own a home versus rent a home, they're going to be worth more. If they rent their solar equipment, if they rent their power plant from the utility versus buying their own payment, buying their own power, paying it off, owning the equipment, paying a lot less, $50,000, $60,000 in cash flow, plus they now own this $40,000, $50,000 piece of equipment that used to be $3,000 a year worth of shit, now it produces $6,000 a year worth of stuff. All right? Which one are they now better off? And have they acquired debt? No, the balance is gone. They used the money they were going to chunk off to the utility over all that time, and what did it do? It paid off the mortgage. It paid off the balance. So don't let your customers be afraid that they're acquiring. That's what smart people do. They use other people's money, finance for long periods of time to get short-term and long-term benefits at a very, very, very low interest rate so they can end up richer. It's the stupid people who are afraid to do that. And you have to help them understand that, right? And it's the smart people who intuitively know they should use other people's money to put themselves into a better situation. They need help understanding that. So, does that sound good? Yeah. So I'll do a bunch of work. I'll have an engineer do a bunch of work. You just sit here, do whatever the hell you're doing. Don't do a thing. You talk to the wife, tell her I'm buying her dinner at Olive Garden, and because, you kind of work that out, the hookup going on. You're going to buy her dinner at Olive Garden. Thank God you didn't say Cheesecake Factory. Damn, that frickin' 30-page menu. Now, if you'd have been the decision maker, we'd be going to Outback. I just want you to know. But because we got to talk to your wife, we're going to Olive Garden. So that's getting an appointment, and we just sold solar, right? Solar does not need to be sold. Solar sells itself. We don't even need to send you to the house. They don't need to send me to the house. Solar sells itself. It's stupid not to do it. Anybody who looks at it goes, I can't believe this. It's just too good to be true. That's what we're really fighting. What we're fighting every day is we're showing somebody something that's too good to be true. And they're like, how can I pay nothing? And then you're giving me money for some reason and buying me dinner. I don't even know why you're buying me dinner. Kind of pissing me off. and then for some reason your company's giving me $500. Why are you doing it? Now you're making it weird. And the government's giving me 10 grand. And the state's giving me this.
It's just inappropriate.
And now it is. It's inappropriate. And now you're telling me all this is going to happen? And now I'm going to pay less per month instead of more? Come on, man. This is too. Do I look stupid to you? I've been told. I know better. Something's too good to be true. Guess what? It's usually not true. And let me just tell you, I got 6,000 customers. I showed them this. I thought it was too good to be true. I got to tell you a story. First years I'm doing that. First thing I'm running around selling solar. Guess how many in my family I sold solar to? 0. Why? I thought it was too good to be true. Last thing I want to do is spend the rest of the next 30, 50 years of my life with a bunch of people I put into solar and screwed them over because I thought it was true and it wasn't true and it didn't work, right? It wasn't until the next year and I realized, holy shit, the net metering deadline's coming up. I got customers with $20 bills and they're happy, I'm happy, and I'm like, I talked to my brother, I'm coming over. I got to show you solar. I got to hurry up. I don't have time. I don't have time to meet with you. I need to show you this thing. I need you to sign it because you're going to be pissed off at me in 5 years if you weren't one of the people that I made a little bit of time for. And I did. I have 7 brothers and sisters, and they all have solar. And you don't need to sell solar. You don't need to sell solar because solar sells itself. You need to make the appointment. You need to do what you do that creates the appointments. You need to follow up on those leads that come in off of the cheat code instantly. You need to not behave in a way that you would normally behave and get yourself to do the things that you need to do. But now it's time to actually turn it into money.
Do you want to make any last points? You want to keep rolling?
I'm going to roll for about, how much more time can I have?
We're
going to talk about closing.
This room. We will not leave this
Okay.
room. You guys want to maybe go to break or listen to Mike a little bit?
Stay with it. I'm not going to be that much longer. We're closing the deal. Don't ever, ever, ever ask to go to the bathroom when we're about to close a deal. All right? Never, ever. I don't care how bad you got to go. Never ask to use the bathroom if you're more than a third of the way into the pitch. Guys, look up White Gold. It's a Netflix special about a guy selling double pane windows. Meets the family. He's there for 6 hours, and he just knows. He knows. He's got the instinct. He knows they're buying, and he knows if there's just the slightest change in the temperature of the room, the spell is going to be broken. When we walk into somebody's house and we go to their kitchen table, and now we're at the place where they make decisions, and they've invited us there, and they haven't invited us to their kitchen table so that they can find some shit to think about. Okay, that's not why we're at the kitchen table, right? We're at the kitchen table, right? He knows that if he asks to use the bathroom, the spell will be broken. They'll look up and realize, holy shit, what time is it? Survivor's coming on. All right, I gotta go. And you're gonna come back from the bathroom and the meeting is somehow over. And you don't even understand why. And so in the movie White Gold, he's there for hours. They want to pray about it. And he's praying with them, Let us pray, right? What do you need to do to make it? You need to pray? Let's pray. I will lead the prayer, right? He walks down to the end of the hall. He gets down to his car, and he just stands there and pees his pants with the biggest smile on his face. He just landed a re-window of the whole thing. Somebody asked me, you asked me how to sell 2 million watts of solar a year? I'm going to tell you the hardcore nitty-gritty secret. Have a Gatorade bottle empty in your truck. Guys, I'm 55 years old. If I had to seek out McDonald's 5 times, I'm lying, 15 times a day, I wouldn't sell 2 million watts of solar a day. Yeah, I don't know how to help the ladies in the room, but you guys in the room, it's an empty Gatorade bottle if you're serious about doing that. All right, so let's talk about closing, guys. And we don't need a lot of time for this because, and by the way, this is not a training class, right? This is just a talk. So we're here at a training class. You want the training class, you're going to have to go to D2D University. And Sam calls me up one day and says, O'Donnell, I'm in Arizona. I'm coming over to your house. I go, what are you doing? I'm coming over to your house. I got a flight at 7. It's 3 o'clock. I'm coming to your house. I'm like, what are we doing? We're going to videotape how you do what you do. I mean, I don't know how I do what I do. I don't know what to say. What am I going to tell you? He's like, I know how to break it down. You know, I'm going to be there. Boom, comes to my house. We're there for like 2.5 hours. He's running out the door at the end.
It started light, and at the end of the cell,
It's dark.
black.
Yeah.
Like, how long is this cell?
A lot of my appointments.
That's awesome.
A lot of my appointments go that way, by the way. Holy shit, it's 9:30. What are we still doing here? People ask me all the time, how long does it take for a solar presentation? By the way, never to answer that custom to the question. Well, it depends how many questions you have, right? Never tell a customer you're going to be there for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. You tell them, well, I'm just going to have the proposal done when I get there. Proposal will be done when I get there. I'm just going to show you numbers. And then it just depends on how many questions you have, right? So 3 hours later, they're praying, and you're helping them pray, have to go to the bathroom, and it's time to pray. It's time to pray. So, we've all said that prayer, right? We're in the home, we've done the thing, we've worked the transition. What I was saying, if you want to know what those words are, go to D2D University. We chopped it up into a 12-segment video. Sales Summit in March, so I'll be talking, there'll be a bunch of other massive beasts talking at the Sales Summit in Vegas. And by the way, Sam pays me nothing to say this. I don't know, we got to talk about that. No. He asked me how I did it. How I did it is I went to D2D and got this idea in my head that I was going to have 2 of these in my hand. And I got to finish that story. That was not happening. 500 kilowatts. I got a whole year's worth of solar to sell in 2 months, and it's fucking Christmas. Right? It's not happening, right? But let's just talk about closing. We'll talk about it for a minute. You want to know what the words are and how it's done. You're going to have to get on the university, download it. I just had Thor. Where's Thor? Raise your hand. Motherfucker made me cry today. Comes into the kitchen and says, man, you changed my life. I'm like, I don't even know you. I've heard the name Thor, but I never thought I would meet a Thor. He says, you changed my life. I'm like, I got to get up and talk, man. Don't make me cry. He says, I'm watching the stuff on D2D University, and then he hits me with 2 or 3 lines. This is the only meeting we're going to have. I'm like, whoa. Those are the words this is the only meeting we're going to have. So that's what we're going to talk about, okay? We're going to talk about this meeting, the one that we're in. And by the way, I'm not coming back to this meeting because this meeting's never going to happen again. If he asks me to come to a different meeting, I'm going to come. But I'm never coming back to this meeting because this meeting is never, ever happening again. This is the meeting, and we're not taking a bathroom break. This is the meeting where this is going to happen. You were sent to this home not to sell solar. Solar sells itself. You were invited to this kitchen table where this family makes decisions. What did we send a supercomputer who's set in a bunch of these seminars and has done this 1,000 times? Why did we send you to this meeting? Why did we send you? Why are you here at this meeting, at this table? Why didn't I send a YouTube video? What's my job? Who knows what my job is? No, not to sell. What's my job right now? That'd be good. What's the actual thing and the reason they asked me to go? What? Motivate. What is my mission right now? What am I here for? What am I good at? Somebody just said it. It's not a close. I'm closing. That's not what they need, though. They didn't ask me here to close. They don't care. They hope I'm not a good closer because they're going to sell me on the fact that they need to what? Think about it, and they're hoping I'm not that guy at the timeshare thing and at the car dealership thing who closes them. They're hoping I'm not that guy. And a lot of people don't do this because they don't want to be that guy. Why? Because when you attempt to be that guy, what happens in the room? It goes from feeling really good And when you've decided and you've put them on the horns of a dilemma and asked them to make a decision, what happens to the room? It's uncomfortable. It's awkward. Why don't salespeople want to do that? Because they don't want to be the reason that it's awkward. Guess why we sent you to the home instead of a YouTube video? To make it awkward. It's your job. You got to the house, you met these people, you showed them solar, solar sold itself, you've got to the point, it's time to, and this is why you were sent to the house, help them. You're there to help them make a decision, to stop renting and start owning, to take advantage of these tax credits, to not be part of the herd that's going to go solar later. When the herd moves to go solar, that's when it'll be 0 tax credits, and there'll be no buyback from the utility, and then the herd's going to go solar. Why? Because cigarettes are $10 a pack. All right? That's when the rest of the people are going solar. Your job is to help them not be one of those people. It is time to close. What closing means is to help them make a decision. You have to be committed to that in a single-minded fashion, and that requires a couple things. The first one of them is don't buy the objection. Don't buy it. You were there to send them, help them make a decision today. Make a decision today. Why? They're not making a decision on Friday. They're not making a decision in the morning. There's not going to be another meeting. And they don't need to know that. You are the one in the room that needs to know there's not going to be another meeting. You are the one that needs to know you were sent there to close, help them make a decision, and that if you don't do it right now, you're never going to do it. I actually tell my customers, I'm not coming back. This is the meeting. This is my job. And you can get on the videos and see it, but it comes down to this, and the close works just like this. You want to think of it? Wonderful. What's your email address? Don't you love when you're in a presentation and they start getting excited and they go, are you going to email this to me? Isn't that your favorite thing to hear? Are you going to email this to me? What does that mean? That means I need to spend lots of time thinking about this after you're gone, right? You're going, and you know what? There's nothing I love more than to have a customer say, are you going to email this to me? Absolutely. Why? Do you need time to think about it? Absolutely. I'm not a pushy guy. I want you to have all the time in the world to think about it. Is that fair? Would it be fair if you sounds like you're pro-solar? Let me ask you a question. This is in your email box right now. Okay? Boom, 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 boom. It's in your email box. The price is good for 30 days. There's no pressure here. I'm not a high-pressure guy. This ain't a high-pressure deal. I don't believe in pressuring people. Now I'm about to apply more pressure than is humanly fair. This is psychological warfare. But realize that because we're in the solar business and they're 100% better off that we did do this than we didn't, we're helping them make a decision. People go solar. They are sold. They go solar if they're helped make a decision. If they can't make the decision, they don't get solar. I have a lot of regrets. The primary regrets I have is when I drive by a house that I pitched in the net metering deadline, and that house doesn't have solar, and I know that family missed out. And you know what? That's on me. If I was better at what I do, there'd be a solar system on that house. That family would be better off. They'd be on the way to being $50,000 to $100,000 richer instead of tied to this anchor weight with the utility. And so now it's time to do it, okay? It's time to do it. But if you don't know at your core, at your innermost self, that this is not happening if you don't make it happen, and especially not for you. The other regret I have is when I come back and there is a solar system there, right? And guess who talked them into it? Me. Who knocked on their door and got them to say, I should take a look at this. And then they couldn't pull the trigger and somebody else walked in, they just bought solar from them. They didn't need to see this presentation. That's my other big regret. All right? And so now is the moment in time where we're going to have to do this. And I'm going to say, absolutely, I'm going to email this to you. The price is good for 30 days. I'd really like you to have all the time in the world to think about this. So let me put my pitch book away and put that stuff away. And, you know, by the way, one more thing. One more thing. It seems to me like you're pro-solar. It seems to me, and it sounds like you need some time. How much time are we talking about? Are we talking about 6 months?
No.
Are we talking about 6 weeks? Are we talking about a month? You guys need to talk. We're talking 2 weeks? Usually they tell me tomorrow morning, Friday, we're sold. At that point in time, when I ask them, what are you thinking about this? Normally they try and tell me what a good salesperson I am. Has anyone ever told you they need to think about it, but we're so glad you came because you're such a great salesperson? You know what I tell them? Just wait, you've seen nothing yet, right? This is about to get good, all right? So I'm going to put that stuff away. You got all the time in the world. One more thing, sounds like you're pro solar. As you guys are talking about this, what's the one thing you're going to bring up as a reason why we should push the pause button instead of moving forward with solar? What's in your mind about that? What's the one thing that's bugging you? What's that?
No, I was
What
saying
is it?
nice, I like that.
You liked it? What's the one thing in your mind that would cause you to say, well, we're not doing it on Friday? Gonna move Sunday? Gonna move Sunday? Gonna move Sunday? That's you know what? A lot of my customers were afraid they were gonna go solar, find out in a year they're moving to Ohio, they're gonna move someday. And guess what? You are gonna move. Most people are owning a home 7 to 10 years. I know exactly how you feel. And that's your objection. How am I going to deal with that objection? Feel, felt, found, right? I know how you feel. Most of my customers felt that way. Hell, I felt that way. Let me tell you, when they looked into it, this is what they found. Feel, felt, found. It covers most objections, right? Mary, how about yourself? As you guys talk about this, what's the one thing you guys are going to be wondering about? Maybe you should just pause on this instead of pulling the trigger and moving forward. What's that one thing that's bugging you? Who's got a reason why they would?
I got tripped into multi-level buying apartments with multiple people. What's it called again?
Yeah.
Timeshare. So we never decided anything.
You made a hasty decision.
And we never want to do that. So
And did you guys talk about that before the meeting? You were, no matter how good a salesman I was, you guys were going to, and that's fair enough. You guys needed time to think about it without me. I understand that. And I've had that same experience. I walked into a timeshare thing. Next thing I know, I'm out the door and I'm like, what did I do, right? That's a concern. So I'm afraid. I'm making a hasty decision, and I understand that. In fact, most of my customers felt that way. I have one particular customer who felt that way. And when he saw our process and how we do it, and he realized that he had all the time in the world, and that he wasn't being rushed to make a decision, he felt comfortable moving forward. So I felt, found. So here's one more thing that I want to talk to you. You got the proposal. It's good for 30 days. And now I'm going to tell them a story. And the story is why this moment in time is different than all the other moments in time. One of the ones I've been using lately is, we have 6,000 customers. My partner and I have literally physically sat down with 1,000 each of them, and I haven't had a salesman involved in any of those. Oh, those poor salesmen, those horrible salespeople, right? I haven't had to have a salesman involved in anything. I'm the owner of the company. I'm a consultant, whatever. Whatever your story is, I'm here sitting with you eyeball to eyeball. You need all the time in the world to think. Let me tell you, here's my job as a consultant. Here's my job as the owner. Whatever your story is, here's my job. My job is to be in 3 or 4 of these meetings every single day, and that is my job, by the way. My job is to be in 3 or 4 of these meetings every single day, make sure the design is right, make sure you understand it, make sure you understand all the tax credits, all that stuff, and then to help you get the process started. It's my job. It's what I do. If you need to come back, that's fine. My company wants your business. We're not going to do all that. I'm just going to tell you, that's not my job. I'm not one of those guys, but I have a legion of salespeople, and I'm going to assign you to one of them, and they'll follow up with you till you can't want to kill yourself. Does that sound good? Does that sound good? But let me tell you, I'm going to have to pay that person money, right? There's commissions involved. Right now, I'm the owner, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter what the story is. It just matters that the story is believable and that the conclusion of the story is, I have an opportunity for you, and I'd like to share it with you. And if it makes sense, I will ask you to get the process started. If it doesn't make sense, we're just not going to do it. Is that fair enough?
Fair enough.
Okay, so here's what it's about. We have this many crews, we're this busy, whatever the story is, the deadline's coming up. It's my job to show you this, get the process started. If we can do that, here's what the one that's in your email, that one's good for 30 days. But what I really like to show you is this opportunity. And if you're willing to help me, and this is going to be an exchange, I'm not giving stuff away, I don't lower my price. But by the way, the price is not changing. I'm not lowering the price. But if you're willing to help me, I have something I'd like to offer you that's going to make this just a 10 times whatever, more incredible deal. Number one, I need your help. I want to put a sign in your yard. This close, by the way, is the close that the Tin Men showed me how to do. The guy that showed me how to do this in 1984 was a Tin Man. He'd sold aluminum siding he'd been doing it since the freaking 50s. And every time, aluminum siding, Tin Men. You guys want another good movie to watch on a Friday pizza night? Go get Danny DeVito and Richard Dreyfuss, watch Tin Men. selling aluminum siding. They have the same job we do. They're doing it the same exact way. This is not a new close. I learned it in that thing. And I said, I need your help. I want to sell more solar. All right? I need your help with 3 things. One, I want to put a sign in your yard, right? Now, every neighbor, and this is why I'm going to tell them about my referral program. Every neighbor that you introduce me to, you're going to get blah, 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 blah as a referral, right? But the people that you don't know, I want everyone to say, I want to put a sign in your yard. Help me sell some solar. Number 2, the other thing I'm going to ask you to do is if we get the paperwork started and do all this stuff, I'm going to ask you to take a picture with me, all right? We're going to post that picture on our Facebook page, right? And I'm going to copy you, and I'm going to ask you, hopefully you'll post it on your Facebook page. And from there, we're going to do the whole Facebook happiness thing, and that's going to lead to referrals for you. Normally in the old days, we used to get 1 or 2 people would sign up and go solar because of the sign and the neighbors, and hey, we'd meet a neighbor and a brother and we'd get 2 referrals. That's, a lot of money for you guys. Now in this thing, I have customers that end up with a dozen people pinging them back and forth, and they shared it with their brother-in-law. Next thing you know, they got, 5 people going solar, whatever, at whatever per referral fee. That's all this money for you. That's not what I'm here to talk to you about. I'm just going off on a tangent, by the way. What's going to happen about me putting a number 2, I'm just going to take your picture. So 1, sign. 2, I'm going to take your picture. The third thing is I'm going to ask you to help me get the process started. Now, this solar system is not going to be on your roof tomorrow morning, right? I'm not allowed to put it on your roof tomorrow morning. In fact, the state of Arizona is going to make me have you sign something that says you have at least 3 days to what? Think about it. Never say rescission. Never say the word cancel. Words are powerful. Don't put words. Don't put ideas. What the state of Arizona is going to make me have you sign a piece of paper that says you already have all the time in the world to think about it. Is that enough time? Should we make it 6 days? I can just scratch out 3 and make 3. I don't care. I don't care if you go solar or don't go solar. I just care about getting my job done, which is to get the process started. And you have all the time in the world to think about it. And the last damn thing you need is for me to come back here to think about it. You don't need that. And I can't help you think about it. So yes, you might need to think about it. What we don't need to do is have more meetings. And by the way, I can't have another meeting with you because I'm not coming back. If you want to do business with me, we're going to get the process started. So the most important thing on these 3 things is you're going to help me get my job done, which is to get the process started, which is good for me, it's good for you, it has all these other benefits. And let me tell you what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to A, do this to the warranty. B, I'm going to do this to the whatever service. I'm going to C, I'm going to bestow on you whatever, cash, happiness, a vacation to Vegas, whatever that thing is, right? And the reason I can do that is because we're handling this today. This is efficient. I can't come back. The guy who does come back, one of those salespeople I'm going to assign to your account, I don't know what his deal even is, all right? But this is my deal. If you can help me do the job, I'm going to do A, B, and C. Is this making sense?
Sure.
Is it fair?
Yes.
Fair enough? All right. I'm going to need to see your driver's license. And do you have one of those APS bills lying around? No. I tell you what, people sweat bullets about making appointments, making sales. You know when I start sweating bullets? When 8 out of 10 times when I do that and the person says, okay. And I'm like, oh shit, now I got to do the paperwork. There's this weird kind of awkward silence almost, whatever that happens to be, etc. So anyway, guys, that's the idea. So the closing, all those, there's 10 other closes, right? The important thing is this. Number 1, you know that this is the last meeting. Number 2, you know if they don't sign up now, you're not getting the sale, right? The amount of people that sign up later, and maybe you're a good farmer. I'm a shitty farmer. I told you I'm not good at anything. I am not good at farming. When I tell you I'm not coming back, I'm not even calling you back. I should sell my appointments that don't sell, all right? But, it's only 2 out of 10, and if they can't make a decision, they're just not my kind of people. Maybe they're for the farmers that come back behind me, and they need deals as well. So, those are the things. You are the one that needs to know this meeting isn't happening again. And then you will come up with what's not on Sam's website. It's the close that's not been invented yet. This person needs help making a decision. You need to find out from them what is holding them up. Get that objection out. What is the one thing you 2 are going to talk about after I'm gone? Let's address that objection. Feel, felt, found. All right? And then we're going to move forward, right? Let's do that now, because if we don't do it now, A, you're not getting paid. B, they're not going solar. And you're going to hesitate. I've shared this with hundreds of people. The ones that are around my same table every week, I got guys that have been telling this to for years and years, and they've never tried it once because they don't want to be that guy. They don't want to be that high-pressure salesman. Why do car salesmen do this? Because it works. Why do timeshare salespeople do this? If you're in Aruba selling a timeshare, is there going to be another meeting? No. This is it. You need to get desperate about that. The problem is you think there's going to be another meeting. You think you're going to get back in this house another time. And what are you doing? You're withholding the rapport. You're thinking that this rapport that you've built in this 1.5 hour, 2 hour meeting is going to be valuable to you later. And plus, you don't like it being awkward any more than they do. Make a decision. You've got a toolbox. Here's the tool. Put it in your bag. Put your, Columbo codes. Put that stuff in your bag and pull out this hammer. This is a hammer. There's a nail in the middle of the table. Grab that hammer and hit the nail right on the head. And it's called the Today Only close. It's called the If I Could, Would You close. All these closes are on the websites. But what's not on the website is you not being able to make yourself believe that this is the only opportunity you have. And more important than that, because you have a job, your job is to serve. This is the only opportunity they're going to have to get this process moving forward today. If it doesn't move forward today, they're going to get a different solar experience, another company who's nowhere near as good as the company you work for, in a different time with a different buyback and a different, whatever the thing is, they're going to end up solar someday, but they're going to have missed the opportunity to go forward, and that's going to be on you. So reach into that bag, grab the hammer, hit the nail, and see how often it works.
I want to get another quote.
You're concerned about the price. Perhaps there's a better price out there. And you know what? Most of my customers, when they see a $40,000 thing, are thinking, you know what? I bet somebody else would do it for $39,000. So I know exactly how you feel. Let me tell you where I am in the industry, in the pricing market. Markets between here and here, and I am not here, and I am not here. I'm right about here, right? And let me just tell you, I know all the guys that are here, and you don't want them on your roof, right? So I'm the whatever, biggest, best, baddest, smartest, most efficient, whatever. I'm not here, I'm not here. I'm not here because we're going to pay for the people that do the site surveys and we're going to make all this happen. You can't be here and be 5-star rated on Facebook. I'm here because I need this much money to be 5-star rated on Facebook. Is that fair? Is it fair that I pay my people well? Is it fair that I have a quality control guy that's going to make sure this thing is working okay? Is it fair that I have a guy in my office that doesn't do anything but take your call and look up your electric bill because you think your electric bills are too high, something's not right, all right? So I'm going to be there. Now, having said that, one of the reasons I don't want to rush you is I want you to have all the time in the world to make a decision. Is 3 days enough time for you to get there? Let me ask you another question. Would it be better if we made it 5 or 10? Is 10 days good for you? Tell you what, here's what we're going to do. Instead of 3 days, I'm just going to cross out 3. We're going to make it 10 days. Is that fair enough? Does that be enough time for you to just make sure you get the best deal in the world? Now, I'm not going to tell you it's the cheapest deal in the world because you don't want that guy on your roof, but you damn well better don't want the most expensive guy, do you? I know that. I don't want the most expensive guy either. Let me tell you, the market's here, and I'm right here. I'm right where you want me to be, and if I'm not telling the truth about that, we can talk later again about price. But by the way, the process will be started. What happens by starting the process? The site survey gets done, the utility gets their Dear John letter, all this stuff is happening. I've had a guy out to measure. All that stuff is happening. Now I'm ready to submit for a permit. If you think I'm $1,000 too high and we got to talk about it and it's fair, I'll see what I can do. I'll talk to my partners. I'm telling you, this price is where we need to be to do everything that we need to do. If you find that's not the case, that's fine. We can always tear this up. That's awesome.